many people mention Africa, what's one thing that comes to your mind?
Poverty.
That's all?
Actually, yeah, what comes to mind is poor country, yeah.
What is the first thing that comes to mind when you hear South Africa?
Elephants.
Elephants? Giraffes? And what about you?
Cheetahs.
Cheetahs.
For many decades, up until year 2000, the three images most people from the West have of Africa is poverty, disease, and jungle.
What comes to your mind when you hear the word Africa?
Africa's like poor and it's kind of like a Sahara desert, and you know, like there's nothing.
As what's one thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word Africa?
Africa, like animals and like elephants, giraffes, safari.
A lot of wildlife.
Leaves.
Lion.
Lion?
I think of domestic animal.
Giraffe, tiger.
Tiger?
The question is, how did these people get the idea that Africa was a jungle where people live with animals, disease, and the only thing that exists is poverty? The answer to that is American media. Because American media is essentially the world media, everybody from every part of the world consumes American media. So whatever image America decides to sell for the rest of the world, it is super easy to do that. So the US decided to select the image of poverty in Africa, of disease, and of jungle. And everybody in the world believes that is the only thing that exists on the continent of Africa.
A.B.U says he doesn't know his age, but he does know he's starving.
Unfortunately, as I will later discuss in this video, the United States benefit from having the whole world believe that Africa is just a jungle. But before we reach that point, I would like to tell you something else that is very interesting. Starting from 2005, 2006, 7, 8, as social media advances, more and more people from the West started consuming content, especially content created by African creators. And this allows a lot of people to start seeing the true picture, the true beauty of Africa. As more and more people get to understand that, yes, there may be poverty in Africa, but poverty is not the entire definition of Africa. There could be jungles in Africa, but you won't be surprised that an average African will never see elephants in his entire life, except he goes to a zoo. So we are not living with animals. As this perception started changing, the United States needed to change its strategy.
The U.S. diplomatic mission to South Africa has issued a terror warning to U.S. citizens in the African nation.
The United States has warned its citizens against visiting the Gambia and advised tourists currently in the West African nation to consider leaving.
The United States mission in Nigeria has issued a security alert over the risk of terror attacks in Nigeria.
The United States Embassy has urged its citizens currently living or traveling to Liberia to exercise caution in the
shootings, violent assaults, and harassment.
And will continue to exacerbate instability.
For US citizens that do decide to remain, the advice from the US government was prepare for the possible deterioration of security.
I have a simple question to ask, especially if peradventure, which is not likely, anybody among the US officials come across this content.
I'm tired of being quiet.
Where I'm sick and tired.
If your country goes on TV every day to announce to the world that Africa is not safe, the rest of the world, or myself as an African, should ask you, how safe is the United States?
You know, a wave of senseless gun violence is gripping the United States right now.
Overwhelming amount of gun violence happening every single day in America. More than 40,000 people are killed each year.
In 2 weeks, over 2,000 shootings. More than 800 people dead. Over 1,700 injured. Not exceptional, normal.
Philadelphia now, with a population of approximately 1.6 million people, has reported nearly 450 homicides just this year.
According to the Gun Violence Archive, there have been more than 600 mass shootings in 2022 so far.
The Gun Violence Archive reports 15 mass shootings this weekend.
3 people died here, 12 were injured in a mass shooting here in Philadelphia.
More than 1,000 incidents, more than 430 dead, 1,000 wounded in 1 week.
Here is my logic about this matter. If a representative of a country that is safe and peaceful is going to the television every day to announce to the rest of the world that, hey, don't go to Nigeria, Nigeria is not safe. Don't go to Africa, Africa is not safe. I should be able to listen to him, and because he's coming from a country that is safe and peaceful. But if a representative of a country where 40,000 people are murdered with gun violence every single year goes on television to announce that a particular country of the world is not safe.
The chronic gun violence epidemic surging in recent months. The map shows it all unfolding.
That is kind of questionable to me, because if you press calculator for the number of people America loses every year on gun violence alone, you are going to get 40,000 divided by 365. You are going to get more than 100 people every day. We have not talked about burglaries, shoplifting, road rage, or even kidnapping. According to FBI, every 40 seconds, a child is kidnapped in the United States. A total of 840,000 children get missing every year in the United States. I don't know, but a country like US should not raise alarm every second of the day about insecurity in any country of the world, except there is something behind it. Think about this. The biggest security challenge for many countries in Africa is terrorism. And since my country is the biggest country in Africa, I'm going to use my country as an example. So according to Statista.com, these are the numbers of casualties as a result of terrorism in my country between 2011 and 2022. According to this data, a particular state in my country where there was most casualty lost 35,000 people within this 1 decade and 1 year. Then another state lost 5,000 people. Then another state 5,000. Another 4,000. Another 3,000, 3,000, and 3,000. What this means is for 11 years, that is between the period of 2011 to 2022, my country lost a total of 61,000 people as a result of terrorism. I bet there is nothing else, there is no other insecurity challenge that is even half of that, counting the casualty. For a simple argument, you can easily compare this figure, which is the total number lost in my country to terrorism for 11 years, and this figure, which is the total number the United States will lose in a single decade on gun violence alone. And when you compare this with this, you are definitely not seeing a figure that is even close. If you have some time to sit down and tabulate the number of casualties as a result of robberies in the United States, shoplifting, road rage, even kidnapping, then it will become obvious that the United States is probably one of the most insecure country in the world. But if anybody lives in the US, especially these guys who have never stepped out of the US, they have been deceived to believe that they are living in a country that is the best in the world, because their media look for a way to paint everybody else as being worse than them. What America don't know, however, is that there is almost no country in the world where people are gunned down in the supermarket.
The gunman killed 19 young children and their 2 teachers.
On Tuesday, a shooter opened fire at a Walmart in Chesapeake, Virginia, killing 6 people and injuring at least 6 more. The shooter, who took his own life at the scene, was a longtime Walmart employee.
Another way to know how secure a country is to look at the number of people in its prison, because people don't get to prison because they are nice. people go to prison because they commit crime. So if you know the number of people in the prison of a particular country, that can give you an idea of how secure that country is. So let's do some rough math about the United States. According to this Wikipedia page, as at 2016, there were 6,613,500 people in the US prison. For you to know how crazy this is, we have to compare one of the biggest countries in the world with the US, and that is India. India has the population that is 4 times. Yes, 4 times of that of the United States. And as at the time of making this video, India has just about 500,000 people in its prison. Again, don't forget that people don't go to prison because they are good, kind, or loving. People go to prison because they kill other people, they rape other people, they rob other people, they do every other thing that could affect other humans. So, if there is a country in the world that has most people in prison of any country per capita all over the world, and this same country goes on TV every day to tell us that Africa is not safe, we should know that there should be something behind the reason why America wants everybody else in the world to be afraid of going to Africa. About 3 months ago, a friend of mine told me that one of his family members was relocating away from Nigeria. I was surprised because this is a well-to-do family. Why are they getting away from our country? And I was told it's because of insecurity in my country. And it doesn't matter which country of Africa you go to, this is what an average African believe today. An average African believe that Africa is not safe. But these same people believe that United States is safe. And you want to ask, why do they believe that? And the answer to that is because, well, the American media has succeeded in showing them the insecurity in their own country. Why they have no idea what is going on in America. I honestly believe that this is a strategy that was intentionally engineered by America. And you may want to ask me, why? Why would America try to make Africa look bad? Why? Let me explain some of the reasons why that may be. You see, if you are the American, one of the things you will want to do to increase the value of your country is to try and devalue other countries of the world. The reason why this makes sense is because if you can show people that their countries does not have much value, their country is not secure, their country is dangerous, then they are going to be looking at your country as heaven. Then they will have desire to be in your country. When these people have great desire to come to your country, since you have the power to select who come to your country, you are going to select the best mind, the smartest people out of this country to come to your country. That is why today the smartest Africans are not living on the continent of Africa. Our smartest doctors have gone away. Our smartest lawyers are not on the continent. Our smartest and most brilliant entrepreneurs have run away from the continent. And where are they? Most likely the United States. Again, somebody will ask me, how does the United States benefit from this? It is very simple. Countries are like companies. Imagine there is a particular company in an industry, and this company is able to attract some of the best minds, the best talents from other competitors in the same industry. What do you think will happen to the rest of the companies in that industry? It is obvious. Just as every successful company needs smart people to succeed And to keep on succeeding, every countries of the world need smart people to build those countries. So if you are able to successfully attract the smartest people away from certain country into a particular country, what you find out is these countries that are losing their best talent are going to remain poor, because you need people, just like a company. You need people to build a country, and not just people. You need smart people.
I want them to come in from everywhere.
I know some Africans will have problems with this, my conclusion. So I want to ask you to do a simple exercise for me. I need you to make a list of 10 people you know who have run away from Africa. Then I need you to ask yourself, how smart are these people compared to the people who remain in Africa? What you are going to find out is that an average African who get away from Africa, who run away from Africa, is very much likely to be smarter than an average African who remain in Africa, because where it is the smart people who have the means, it is the smart people who have the connection, it is the smart people who can run away from their country. By attracting all these best minds and best talents to the United States, the U.S. can build and continue building its country.
We are a nation of immigrants.
America is a nation of immigrants.
America's history, old and new, is filled with stories of immigrants who helped shape America's past and continue to shape America's future.
Canada is a country that was built by immigration.
Another reason why the U.S. might be interested in devaluing Africa is because that scares away a whole lot of people that ought to come to Africa to invest. And when we do not have enough people coming to our continent to invest, it means we are more likely to say yes to any offer that we can get from the US, which leads us to the third reason why this could be a very good strategy for the US. Because there are less people interested in Africa, then the US could get the resources of Africa cheaper than they would have been able to get it if everybody else in the world is competing for the same resources. My dear fellow African, if you are one of the people who have left Africa, I did not make this video to attack you. Instead, I'm just trying to paint what I think is the truth, which may not be the truth for everybody. The more the United States try to paint Africa as this place where you are destined for poverty if you live there, and even if you have money, you are still insecure, the more you will have more Africans not loving or liking their country.
Wool up, nigga. Wool up, wool up, wool up. Just wool up. What's a businessman?
The more we don't like our countries, the more we want to get away from our countries. And when we want to get away from our countries, where are we likely to want to go? The United States. And what that leads to is you are going to be extracting the best mind, the best human resources, the smartest people away from the countries of Africa into the United States. When you continue doing that, you will have nobody left in Africa to build Africa. Because don't forget, countries are like companies. Great companies have great people who build it. So if you have a country that do not have smart people willing to stay behind to build it, there is no way such country want to progress and have a better future.
Make you don't know nothing, man. You know what you have?